Hello, hello, hello. It's Kiki, and welcome back to my channel. And, I woke up to the craziest thing this morning. Oh, what the actual hell, man? Oh, wow. That's certainly one milestone I didn't expect to ever achieve. Really, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I know 100 may not seem like a lot, but it still means a lot to me. And so I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And so I thought to myself, well, I got to do something for this occasion. And so I sat down and I thought, and I thought, and I thought some more about what I could do. And then I thought to myself, well, I do like to write screenplays in my free time. So I thought, what better way to celebrate 100 subscribers than to talk about the writers who influenced my own writing style? This isn't necessarily a list in any particular order. It's just me rambling into my microphone about writers who influenced my own writing style. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. I'm not sure what you're in for, but you're in for something. Alright, so first up is Marielle Heller, who is an actress turned screenwriter / director. So far, her writing and directing credits include The Diary of a Teenage Girl, Can You Ever Forgive Me, and her most notable work, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Now, I think the reason why I love this woman's writing so much is because it's just so wholesome and pure. And this woman does a great job of taking her characters on gripping emotional journeys. For example, Minnie from The Diary of a Teenage Girl isn't getting any love or validation from her neglectful bohemian mother, and therefore is trying to seek that love through men, which unfortunately leads her to getting preyed upon by her mother's boyfriend, which then leads to other unfortunate situations. But in the end, she realizes that she shouldn't be seeking her validation through men, because the only person who she should be seeking validation from is herself. Meanwhile, Floyd from A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood has grown jaded, cold, and bitter because his father has abandoned him and his mother and committed adultery while his mother was dying from cancer. However, he learns that this grudge is making him just as bad as his father because it's just making him to a bitter and angry person. And so, as a result, he learns to let go of this grudge and becomes a warmer, happier, and loving person because of it. Now, I did have a little bit of an issue with the fact that he did end up accepting his father back into his life and had a better relationship with his father at the end. Or maybe that's just because I'm biased, because I myself dealt with an emotionally abusive mother, and right now I'm in the process of learning that just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean you have to accept their toxicity back into your life. But nonetheless, it was still a phenomenal movie, and I still highly, highly recommend it along with the rest of this woman's catalog, especially if you're having a bad day, because this woman's films really make you feel like there really is a light at the end of the tunnel through the darkest of times. And the next writer I want to talk about is Yoshihiro Togashi, who has graced us with lots of great shonen such as Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter. Now, I usually don't have the patience to watch anime that's more than 50 episodes long, but for this guy, I will make an exception because his world building is absolutely immaculate. For example, when Gon sets out to go take the Hunter exam, him, Leorio, and Kurapika have to undergo a sort of pre-screening process. For example, there's a whole bunch of people in different areas asking them certain questions to give a sense of their personality, and there's even magical beasts who set traps for them, and all this is to make sure that they're actually worthy to take the Hunter exam. And then, when they go take the Hunter exam, they have to undergo a whole set of obstacles, like running for half of the day, participating in a cook-off that requires you to hunt for impossible ingredients. And when you get to the final stage of the hunting exam, you have to partake in hand-to-hand combat with other contestants. And he also has a very intricate magic system known as Nen, which I talked about a little bit in my Season 2 review of Hunter x Hunter. Don't watch that, please. It's cringy. And another thing that I think I love about Togashi's writing is his characters. His characters are just so lovable and fun and charming. For example, you got Killua, the assassin who finds his heart. You have Illumi, whose love for his brother became warped and twisted and dangerous due to the environment he grew up in. You have Kurapika, who sets out on a quest for vengeance, but in the process is harming himself. You have King Meruem, who was born a monster but died a human. And you have Yusuke, who learns to value his own life along with the life of others through his own death. And another thing that I respect about Togashi is his foreshadowing. For example, when they left the Hunter exam, the Hunter examiner said, "The real Hunter exam is just the beginning," which was obviously foreshadowing the fact that they would have to master Nen. And when Killua's father said, "Don't worry, my son will come back to me one day," which was probably foreshadowing Killua to come back and get his sister. And yeah, I'm a sucker for good foreshadowing like that. And I also like how Togashi fights aren't just battle of fists, but they also include a battle of wits. Just watch the Trick Tower episode from Hunter x Hunter and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I could go on for days about how amazing Togashi is, but I'm not going to put you guys through that. So, moving on. And next up is the writing duo known as Bryan Konietzko and Dante DiMartino. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with these two because I pretty much love them for the same reasons I love Togashi. And two, all you have to do is watch Avatar and their writing skills speak for themselves. So all I'll say is immaculate world building, epic characters who you can grow with, and solid messages about how hope is something you give yourself and how you may not always be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you keep on moving, you will always come to a better place. And yeah, that's it for Konietzko and DiMartino. And the next writer I want to talk about is Alan Moore, who has graced us with so many classics like V for Vendetta, The Watchmen, and The Killing Joke. I think the main thing that attracts me to his writing is his ability to deconstruct tropes. For example, in Watchmen, we see politicians getting involved in superhero business, and we also see that the superhero costumes are impractical and even fatal in some cases. We also see that these superheroes end up changing the course of history for the worse, and these superheroes are pretty darn screwed up. Not only that, I also love his ability to really dive deep into the psychology of his characters. For example, Rorschach is probably one of the most brutal vigilantes you could ever meet because he eventually got to a point where he says, why should I have mercy on those who have no mercy for others? And then you have Dr. Manhattan, who relies too much on his logic and rationale, and because of that, he can't understand human emotions, and thus is an emotionally neglectful husband to Silk Spectre, because in his mind, he thinks it's more important to protect the world from a potential nuclear crisis. And you also have the Joker terrorizing the Gordon family, so that way he can prove that a good man like Batman can be driven to madness. And he's also a very good world builder too. For example, he really built a very convincing and terrifying dystopian world in V for Vendetta. And since we're on the topic of superhero comics, let's talk about another man who managed to breathe new life into the genre. Stan the Man Lee. God rest his soul. Now, before Stan Lee came around, superhero comics consisted of a villain is terrorizing the city, the superhero shows up, defeats him, and saves the day. Stan Lee, on the other hand, found that approach boring, and he wanted to show what superheroes are like when they're not out fighting crime and saving the day. One example of this can be seen in Spider-Man, how Peter Parker is also working his job at the Daily Bugle when he's not out fighting the Green Goblin, so he can pay for his aunt's medical bills. And he also managed to deconstruct other tropes, such as not including any child sidekicks. And he also had Reed Richards and Sue Storm together as a couple right from the very first issue in order to deconstruct that whole will they, won't they, oh, I love her, but I can't be with her because of my super secret identity and I don't want her to get hurt trope. Not only that, he also really gets into his characters, and one of my favorite parts about writing is character development. Some examples of his amazing characters include Rogue, Gambit, and Nightcrawler, who I already talked about in my favorite non-anime characters video, link in the bio. And also Spider-Man, who I already talked about, is just a normal college kid trying to get by as he pays for his aunt's medical bills, and while also learning that being a hero comes with great responsibility. And that's a wrap, folks. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and feel free to subscribe for more videos. And tell me, did you enjoy this video? Would you like me to do a part 2? And tell me in the comments below, who's your favorite writer? And thank you again so much for 100 subscribers. It really does mean a lot. Hopefully, this is only the beginning.